अथ 12. भक्तियोगः. अर्जुन उवाच एवं सततयुक्ता ये भक्तास्त्वां पर्युपासते ये चाप्यक्षरमव्यक्तं तेषां के योगवित्तमाः. श्रीभगवानुवाच मया वेश्य मनो ये मां नित्ययुक्ता उपासते श्रद्धया परयोपेताः ते मे युक्ततमा मताः. ये त्वक्षरमनिर्देश्यम् अव्यक्तं पर्युपासते सर्वत्र गमचिन्त्यं च कूटस्थमचलं ध्रुवम् सन्नियम्येन्द्रियग्रामं सर्वत्र समबुद्धयः ते प्राप्नुवन्ति मामेव सर्वभूतहिते रताः. क्लेशोऽधिकतरस्तेषामव्यक्तासक्तचेतसाम् अव्यक्ता हि गतिर्दुःखं देहवद्भिरवाप्यते. ये तु सर्वाणि कर्माणि मयि सन्न्यस्य मत्पराः अनन्येनैव योगेन मां ध्यायन्त उपासते तेषामहं समुद्धर्ता मृत्युसंसारसागरात्. भवामि न चिरात् पार्थ मय्यावेशितचेतसाम्. मय्येव मनमाधत्स्व मयि बुद्धिं निवेशय निवसिष्यसि मय्येव अत ऊर्ध्वं न संशयः. अथ चित्तं समाधातुं न शक्नोषि मयि स्थिरम् अभ्यासयोगेन ततो मामिच्छाप्तुं धनञ्जय. अभ्यासेऽप्यसमर्थोऽसि मत्कर्म परमो भव मदर्थमपि कर्माणि कुर्वन् सिद्धिमवाप्स्यसि. अथैतदप्यशक्तोऽसि कर्तुं मद्योगमाश्रितः सर्वकर्मफलत्यागं ततः कुरु यतात्मवान्. श्रेयो हि ज्ञानमभ्यासात् ध्यानात् ध्यानं विशिष्यते. ध्यानात् कर्मफलत्यागस्त्यागात् शान्तिरनन्तरम्. अद्वेष्टा सर्वभूतानां मैत्रः करुण एव च. निर्ममो निरहङ्कारः समदुःखसुखक्षमी. सन्तुष्टः सततं योगी यतात्मा दृढनिश्चयः. मय्यर्पितमनो बुद्धिर्यो मद्भक्तः स मे प्रियः. यस्मान्नोद्विजते लोको लोकान्नोद्विजते च यः. हर्षामर्षभयोद्वेगैर्मुक्तो यः स च मे प्रियः. अनपेक्षः शुचिर्दक्ष उदासीनो गतव्यथः. सर्वारम्भपरित्यागी यो मद्भक्तः स मे प्रियः. यो न हृष्यति न द्वेष्टि न शोचति न काङ्क्षति. शुभाशुभपरित्यागी भक्तिमान् यः स मे प्रियः. समः शत्रौ च मित्रे च तथा मानापमानयोः. शीतोष्णसुखदुःखेषु समः सङ्गविवर्जितः. तुल्यनिन्दास्तुतिर्मौली सन्तुष्टो येन केनचित्. अनिकेतस्थिरमतिर्भक्तिमान् मे प्रियो नरः. ये तु धर्म्यामृतमिदं यथोक्तं पर्युपासते श्रद्धधाना मत्परमा भक्तास्तेतीव मे प्रियाः. ॐ तत्सदिति श्रीमद्भगवद्गीतासु उपनिषत्सु ब्रह्मविद्यायां योगशास्त्रे श्रीकृष्णार्जुनसंवादे भक्तियोगो नाम 12.
Hey, I have a question for you. If I were to present you my data in the form of this boring Excel spreadsheets and then
Hare Krishna, can you hear me on the Zoom?
Yes, Prabhuji, we can hear you.
So I welcome all of you for today's evening discussion on chapter 12, one of the very important and very short chapter on devotional service. So we'll begin with the invocation. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gnananjanashalakaya Chakkurunmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Mena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Tadati Shvayapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamadam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsya Shri Rupam Sakrijatam Sargana Raghunatham Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sagada Gadita Shri Shaka Amritasha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabhanto Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastude Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanashri Devi Pranamami Haripriye Panchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyeva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Are you getting any echo while I zoom? Or is it now? Nachiket Prabhu, can you respond if your sound is clear or should I reduce the volume here? Yes, so what is it clear or echo? I think echo is coming. Can you reduce the volume?
Prabhuji, I think that file need to be downloaded.
Hare Krishna.
Chapter 12. Yeah. Guruji, download from mail ID. Download, right? Yeah, can you check in the plugin?
Okay, so yeah, chapter is entitled Bhakti Yoga. As we already seen, there are 3 sections in the Bhagavad Gita. First 6 chapters are dealing with Karma Yoga, how to perfect through action. And the middle 6 chapters are about devotional service, Bhakti Yoga. And the last 6 chapters are about Jnana Yoga. In the middle 6 chapters, this is the last section and one of the most important chapter, and also very short one, just 20 verses. So in this, Arjuna begins with an inquiry as to who is better, the personalist or the impersonalist. Just like we see behind me the screen, if someone thinks there's no person who's operating this and it's just happening, so that is how we generally think that so many things are happening. We don't see the person behind it, and we don't care to know who is the person who is performing it. But you just saw for some time, for example, we are not able to put up the screen. That is because a person is operating it. So similarly, Arjuna is inquiring whether we should worship God as a person, or because Krishna has already spoken in the 10th chapter, his opulences, and in the 11th chapter, Krishna has talked about his universal form. So, and still one may not recognize that God is a person. And one may continue to worship like that without any conception of a personal God. So which is better? Just like Ekalavya was there, he was trying to learn archery from Dronacharya, but Dronacharya refused to teach him. And so he made an image of Dronacharya and started learning from that. So this is one kind of impersonalism. We say impersonator. So if that person is there, on his behalf, you do something without his permission. So a personal devotee worships Krishna, and impersonate meditator worships impersonal Brahman. So one person is accepting Krishna as a person, the importance of Krishna, his instructions, and follows it. Another person creates his own conception of who is God and how he wants to serve him, what benefit he wants from that. So these are the two divergent paths. So Arjuna wants to know who is better, because each path has its own challenges. Supposing you are doing some PhD, if you accept a guide, then you have to follow his good or bad, you have to follow him. But if you say, no, I am better off without a guide, I will do the research on my own, that is one option you always have. So similarly, whether we should accept a personal form of God and follow him as God and his instructions and the process given to us by him, or we create our own conception of God and we follow the path which we want to follow. So therefore, Lord Krishna is giving his judgment as to which is better, whether personalist or impersonalist. So pure devotees of Krishna are most perfect in yoga. So what is the benefit of doing this personal form of bhakti? It is pure. Pure means every time you know whether you are on the right path. Just like same example, if you have a guide, he can correct you every step. But if you think it's a botheration that every time I have to go and ask him, or sometimes he may tell something which I didn't expect. So then if you think that I will create my own path, so then it leads to contamination in the process of bhakti. Contamination in the process, contamination in the goal, and you don't even know which direction you are going. So this is the problem with devotion done. Even an atheist, for example, is one kind of a devotee. He is devoted to something. Devotee means he's dovetailing his energies. Whatever he's doing, thinking and talking, he's directing it in a certain way. So the pure devotee means he is directing his devotion to Krishna, the way Krishna wants him to do. So Krishna tells him that this is the most perfect in yoga, which means he is going to attain perfection. The process of yoga is meant to attain perfection. What is perfection? One level of perfection is to know who we are. That is the first level of perfection. And second level of perfection is to know who is God. And the third is what is our relationship with him and material nature. So that is perfection of action. But on the contrary, the path of impersonal Brahman worshippers. Just like the sun is there, the sunlight is spread everywhere. But that is removed from the sun, which means the sun and the sunlight, in one sense, they are different. Although the sunlight is coming from the sun only, and it's dependent on the sun, but there's a difference between the source and the object. I mean, the subject and the object. So this path of impersonal Brahman worship is very troublesome. That's what Krishna says. In other words, people want to worship the energy separate from the energetic. Supposing a person is there, very rich person, and if you want to enjoy his money without his knowledge, that is one kind of impersonator. He's trying to enjoy the benefit of that person without the knowledge of that person. So the path of impersonal Brahman worshippers is troublesome. Why it should be troublesome? Because our nature is we have to interact with another person. So how long we can live without people? Supposing you decide that there is no perfect person in this world, so I will not relate with anyone and I live in my own world, it's not going to happen. You have to some point deal with another person. So similarly, if God is a person, you have to interact with him. So, but if you choose not to interact with the personal God, then it becomes very troublesome because we have a form. We can understand another person who has a form similar to us, isn't it? When we go to a foreign country, and we find a person who's from our own country, our own language, then we are able to relate with him better than a total stranger. Or what to speak about a person who has no, supposing the spirit is there. There's no way you can connect with the spirit, at least for normal persons. But if that same spirit is in the form, personal form, then we can better communicate. So the bhakti is simple and easy path of the personalness. So why bhakti is simple? Because when you do devotion, God personally reciprocates. Normally, a person is there far away from us. Very difficult to communicate with him. Of course, now modern technology is there, but still there's a limitation. Supposing you have someone across the globe and he wants to give you some food or something, you can only show it on the maybe the screen, but you cannot experience it, cannot touch him or have a personal experience with that. But in the case of bhakti, we get a personal reciprocation from God, and that's why it is simple, and that's why it's said to be easy. So what is the obstacle in accepting a personal God? When you have desires independent of God, what blocks a relation between one person and another? Our expectations do not match. Supposing I am expecting something from you which you do not give me, then I don't go well with you. Similarly, when we are approaching God with some motives, which is known as mixed bhakti, then we won't get the best out of that relationship. When you go with too much expectations, then it spoils the relationship. So the pure devotee, he knows clear about what he can expect from God and what he should offer God. Now, not everyone can come to this high level where you fully surrender to God. So there are some progressive stages. So first is bhakti with internal senses. So here is samvaranatmika. So initially the thought, if you want to do something, first of all, the idea should come in your mind. Only when you start thinking about it, then you start talking about it and then physically acting on it. Similarly, bhakti can be done at the highest stage in the internally. That's known as samvaranatmika or mananatmika. And the next is samvarana means actually from the soul, and then from the manana means mind, and abhyasa means physically. You do something physically. So these are the one level of with fixing mind and intelligence on Krishna. So before our senses, we can start acting on the sensual level. The mind and intelligence also has to cooperate. So in other words, we have to engage all three simultaneously for the best result, to get the best out of it. Both the mind, intelligence, and the body. These three have to be engaged. But someone may say, this is difficult for me, that I am not able to do this. Right now, I am not able to think about something or act on that or use my intelligence for that. But at least we should begin somewhere. That's why it says endeavor. If it is difficult, endeavor to do so. Just like previously, when you used to write the public exam, they used to say that even if you don't know the answer, you write something. Which means they appreciate that someone has at least attempted something. If you don't even attempt and leave a blank answer, they're most likely to give a 0. But if you attempted something, at least they give some credit. So similarly, even though going through these different stages of bhakti may be a little difficult, still one should endeavor. Without endeavoring, supposing you want to learn swimming, you have to get into the water and try something at least. Even though you may fail in the first few attempts, you still need to endeavor. And first we talked about how bhakti can be done with the internal senses. This is a very high level. Here we are talking about the spiritual body. The spiritual body also has senses, mind, and intelligence. So, but that is possible only for very elevated souls. If you cannot do that, then this is the external sense. That is body. We have a gross and subtle body, which is a covering on the soul. With this, you start engaging. And even if that is difficult, so if working for Krishna is difficult, give up the results of work. So one is God has told us to do something, and we are not able to do that. Our scriptures telling something, saintly persons are telling us to do something, and we are not able to do that because we are already attached to some work. We like to do something which we are already doing. Obviously, when we do such work, some result will come. That result you give it as devotion, because Krishna had earlier told, Yat karoshi yadashnasi yajjuhoshi dadasya yat tapasya kaunteya tat kurushva madarpana. Whatever you do, whatever austerity you perform, whatever charity you give, you offer it to me. Offer it means you try to connect it. Supposing you are earning some money, that money you can give as a donation in the service of the Lord. So that's what Krishna says. If you cannot fully follow the instructions given in Bhagavad Gita on bhakti, then at least you may be doing something else. You may be working, you are a student or family man. So when you are engaged in such activities, obviously some result will be produced. That result that's why people go to the temple and give a donation, because they are not able to do devotion all the time. But at least whatever the work they are doing, that result, they think that will be used in the service of God. So here there's a categories, how to categorize the different stages of bhakti. One is abhyasa, practice. Because practice makes a man perfect, we say that. So initially we have to practice something. We may not be perfect at that, but by practicing slowly, perfection will come. So similarly is the case with bhakti. For example, after this program, we will be doing some arati. So arati means we are glorifying the Lord in a small way. You can do it in a very elaborate way, but we do it in a simple way. So that is one kind of practice. And then we are chanting the names of the Lord. That is one kind of practice. I am talking about God. That is one practice. I am not perfect, but I am attempting to practice this art of talking about God. And similarly, you are also practicing to hear about God. So there are different types of practice. So that is the first level. And better than that is knowledge. If you do something with knowledge, that is better than doing something blindly. So that is why it says jnana is superior to abhyasa. And the higher than that is dhyana, which means you go deeper into that. You meditate. Meditate means you think, ponder over it in depth. Because situations may change, then immediately your practice becomes affected, or your understanding becomes affected. Suppose all along you have been doing certain way with certain understanding, and you face a new situation, then you're not able to immediately adjust to that change. But if you go deeper into the matter, then maybe you understand something better. So that's why the next is dhyana. And higher than that is renouncing the fruits of work, which means you fully surrender the results of every action to God. Just like Arjuna is there, he wanted to fight this battle. Initially, he thought he is going to fight for himself or for his own family members or for dharma. But then he surrendered to Krishna that I will fight for you. So that is the renouncing the fruits of work. Instead of working for the motive that I will enjoy the result. Usually people go to job thinking that I will get this much salary and I will enjoy it. But on the higher level, what people do, yes, I don't need this money. I don't need to do this job. But anyway, I will do it because so many people are dependent on me. Supposing I'm running a big organization, I can easily choose to retire if I earn the money. But still people continue in that company because they think that so many people depend on me for guidance. So let me remain. Or they don't even need to earn money anymore. They are fully saturated with money. But still they think that with this money, I will use it for some good cause. So this is the higher than that. Then Krishna talks about what will attract us to Krishna. Because ultimately, yoga means there's a Yogeshwara. When your yoga is incomplete without the Yogeshwara. Supposing you're working for a company, there should be a boss who will reciprocate with you. And similarly, we should know whether by our devotion Krishna is pleased. So what are those qualities which will make us dear to Krishna? That will be explained in this chapter also. Particularly in that Krishna is interested in our devotion. That's why earlier also, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam Yomeya Bhaktya Prayachiti. Krishna says, you offer me with love a fruit, flower. Patram means leaf. Pushpam means flower. Water, Toyam. Phalam or fruit. So why he is expecting us to offer that? Because we express our gratitude to someone when you just say thank you. We may have received a lot of things from that person, but if you just say one thank you, that person is very pleased. So similarly, God is most pleased with our devotion than the offering. So in the previous chapter, that is 11th chapter, Krishna had showed the universal form to Arjuna, that how he can be perceived in this world. So that in conclusion, in the 11th chapter, Krishna said about the supremacy of Bhakti Yoga, that how a devotee is very dear to him. And that's why Krishna revealed the two-handed form to Arjuna. So, but one should be interested in this. How many people want to know about Krishna, about his name, form, quality, and activities? Because we don't have any attachment. But Krishna says that is the highest spiritual realization. Just like if the sun comes, I don't need all these lights. In the presence of the sun, or if you look at the other way, when the sun is not there, you need to put so much electricity to light up the place. But in the presence of the sun, all that is not required. So similarly, when we have a personal connection with God, automatically we know who we are, what is this material nature, who are the other living entities, how to deal with the other living entities and material nature. So that's why this attachment to Krishna's personal form is the highest spiritual realization. So, and Arjuna had personal experience, because first in the 10th chapter, Krishna told him about how he can be perceived in this material nature around us. And then Krishna showed him the universal form to convince Arjuna that he is controlling the entire universe. And he also could foresee what is going to be the outcome of the battle, because that was the main thing which was causing concern to Arjuna, that what is going to happen in this war. What all will happen? I don't know. Without knowing what will happen, why I should endeavor. But then when Krishna showed everything in the universal form, then Arjuna was convinced that Krishna is the right person to direct him. But despite this being the fact, there are people who prefer to meditate on the impersonal Brahman. Supposing you know some person is very rich, beautiful, famous, intelligent, and so many strong person. But if you say, let us go and meet him, there are some people who will say, no, I don't want to meet him. So this is our natural tendency, because we are envious of that person. Envious means we know he is great, but when we get an opportunity to meet with that person, we go with some prejudice. Prejudice means you think maybe he's like this, he's like that. So even though we get an opportunity to meet a person personally and interact with him, we choose not to do so. So similarly, there are people, even though there is God clearly says that I am so and so, this is the way you have to approach me, these are the scriptures which tell about me, and these are the people who follow me. There will always be some people who choose not to do that. Just like an owl is there. Owl means owl doesn't like the sunlight. So it closes its eyes in the daytime, and the night time it is very active. They are known as nocturnal creatures. Nocturnal creatures means they are very active in the night time. They are very idle in the daytime. They don't like sunlight. So like that, when God is presenting himself before them, they choose not to accept him. Just like Ravana was there. He could have surrendered to Rama, but he thought, no, I will not surrender to him. And he wanted to enjoy the wife of Lord Rama, Sita, independent of Rama. So there are some people who know God, but they want God in their own way. They want God to serve them rather than they serving God. So in this chapter, Arjuna is inquiring about these two classes of people. Because the nature of this world is, if one set follows one path, there will be equal number of people following the other path. That's the 50-50. When you do any experiments also, you see 50% tossing a coin, for example. 50% chances it will be heads or 50% tail. So that is the way the world is designed. There will always be people on two paths. And very difficult to make the person on this path to come here. So similarly, there are two classes of people. He wants to make his position clear. clarify his position of being attached to the personal form of Krishna. So he wants to know whether he is following the right path. Because all along Arjuna has been attached to Krishna. For him, devotion is very natural. So he wants to confirm with Krishna whether he is following the right path. In response, Krishna established that pure bhakti yoga is the highest process for realization of the absolute truth. So what is absolute truth? Absolute truth means something which is eternal. It doesn't change with time, place, circumstances. And it produces knowledge. Normally, relative truth means it may be true in certain circumstances, it will fail some other way. So that is very limited. But absolute truth means it is only producing knowledge, perfect knowledge. And ultimately, it should give happiness, unending happiness. So the absolute truth means it's Satchit Ananda. It is eternal, it produces knowledge, it produces unending happiness. So the path for realizing that is pure bhakti yoga, which means we should do devotion in the way God wants us to do. Like Arjuna could have fought this battle in whichever way he wanted. He could have, that 18 days war, he was already accomplished warrior and he had so many people maybe on his side also. And he could have had his own strategy of fighting. But he surrendered everything and he said, Krishna, I will do as you tell me, even though I have accomplished so many things and I want to follow your direction. And we see, if you examine carefully the Mahabharata war, how Lord Krishna had to intervene at every stage to make the Pandavas successful. So therefore, this bhakti is the highest process for realization of the absolute truth and the easiest. Not only it helps us to reach the highest goal, it also becomes very easy. Because at the end of the Bhagavad Gita also Sanjaya declares, Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna, Yatra Partho Dhanuddhara. Tatra Shir Vijayo Bhutir, Dhruvanithir Matir Mama. Wherever there is an archer, supreme archer Arjuna, and the Yogeshwara, that is Krishna, there is morality, victory, and opulence. So that's why it is the easiest means of attaining this association. Krishna also describes how bhakti can be practiced at multiple levels. Now one may say that, okay, maybe for Arjuna and some great people who are fully dedicated, it is possible. What about me? So therefore Krishna says that there are progressive stages. Just like many of us may never thought that we will be in IIT, we will get admission into IIT or we'll do a PhD or something we would not have foreseen. But we endeavored and going through a process, we were able to achieve it. Similarly, bhakti may seem something far off for us. Many people, when we say bhakti, they are afraid. Maybe I lose everything. I'll give up everything. No, but if you understand properly and you follow the process, you are likely to. And therefore, Krishna says, how do you know you are progressing? By the qualities. Supposing you have gold, pure gold. How do you know it is pure gold? By the qualities. So similarly, how do I know I am progressing in bhakti? So Krishna says that automatically some qualities will be produced in that person, by which, just like how do you know a person is infected with some disease? By the symptoms, you can say that yes, he is infected. Similarly, how do I know I am progressing through these levels of bhakti? That Krishna elaborates that you will develop these qualities naturally without endeavor. Normally, if you want to have some qualification, you have to put a lot of effort. But if you follow the right process, that comes effortlessly. So this we might have noticed. So when you take to this process of bhakti, those qualities which are very difficult for normal people become very easy for the devotee. Just like if you are the son of a very rich man, the person who is not a son of a rich man has to work very hard. But the same thing, the person, because he is a son of a rich man, becomes very easy for him. Almost nothing, he doesn't have to do anything. Just he has to be connected to the Father. So likewise, the karmi and the jnani, the person who is working hard on his own, some person is thinking, I will work on my own, I don't need any God, I don't need any devotion, I don't need the help of anyone, and I will succeed. So this is one category. Another category thinks that I'll get all the knowledge in the world and I will become perfect. But both will fail. But the devotee, because he is connected with God, he will develop all these qualities. So again, we begin this chapter with Arjuna's inquiry. Who is better, personalist or impersonalist? Same analogy I gave.
If you think that if you don't see me, let us say you don't see me and you just see the screen. And someone may think, okay, screen is changing on its own. Randomly, some event is happening. But the sensible person knows that screen is changing only because I am operating it. A person is there and it's operating. Just like supposing a child has never gone in an aircraft and he sees an aircraft is flying in the sky. Because he doesn't see the pilot nor the passengers, he's thinking maybe an object is simply flying. Or when I was a child, I used to see buses going on the road. I used to think they just go on their own. I never thought that there are passengers or drivers there. So like that, some people think that God is not a person. God cannot be a person because, all of us have some good things and bad things. So if God is a person, obviously he should be someone like us and he may be also the wrong. So some people come to the conclusion that there is no God who is the form. He's there, just like an electron is there. I cannot see it, but I know it is there by its effect. So similarly, some people think that God may be there, but he cannot have a form, but I can perceive him the way I want. So Arjuna wants to clarify this and he's asking who is perfect knower of yoga. If you want to succeed in anything, or the process of inquiry, of quickly attaining you, yoga vittamaha. So what is the quickest way of achieving perfection? The same example, you see, some cricketers are there. Virendra Sehwag was there. At one point, he was almost losing, he was performing very badly. And almost he was out of the cricket team. And then he approached the coach. And after approaching the coach, he scored 2 triple hundreds. So which means that coach the coach is not an expert player. But because he took the guidance from that person, he could come out much better than what he was before. So similarly, whether should we accept a personal God, a personal guru, a personal scripture? A personal devotee always worships you. Bhaktas tvam paryupasate. So Arjuna wants to know whether someone who is fully worshipping you only or an impersonal meditator who worships the transcendental Akshara. So what does this, like Omkara, some people simply chant Om, Om, Om. That's known as an impersonal form of God. So we are going to chant the Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. This is a personal form of God, sound and form. The form of God in the sound is this Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And some people choose to also worship God in his impersonal form in Omkara, U, and Im. Just like when sometimes you sign, you have a full sign and an initial. Both may be same, they represent the same person, but they are used differently. See? So a personal devotee who worships you, bhaktas tvam paryupasate, or an impersonalist meditator who worships the transcendental Aksharam, unmanifest, impersonal Brahman. Just like everyone is worshipping indirectly worshipping the government. Whatever government rules are set, we are following. But some of us may know the person who is in charge of that, the minister or someone. Then who is likely to succeed? Supposing you are following all the rules perfectly, but or another person knows the minister himself. Who's an advantage? The person who has personal contact with the person who made the laws, he is at an advantage. Similarly, although there are so many laws and rules we may like to follow, but at some point we may ultimately fail in following the rules. So better to know the person who has made the rules. So the world around us is perfectly following some laws. We may or may not know. And it's highly likely that we may fail to understand and follow those laws, isn't it? And that's why we get punished. Supposing some disease is coming, obviously we have violated some laws of nature, knowingly or unknowingly. Then what we do? We go to the person who knows that law better than us. For example, a doctor is there. He knows how the body, what laws it has following and how to rectify it. Similarly, when we are trying to follow dharma, and we invariably will fail and we will suffer the consequence. So best is to go to the person who has made those laws. Just like example is there, a bank manager is there. If you want to get a loan from the bank, they may put so many conditions and you may not be fulfilling all of those conditions. Then what you do? You go and meet personally that bank manager and he will waive off some rules. And that makes it easy for you to attain that. Similarly, this question is arising about the personalist and the impersonalist. So then Krishna is going to clarify how this this Krishna Bhakti. Now people ask sometimes, why only Krishna? Why not some other god? Or why only Bhakti? What about Jnana Marga, Karma Marga, Ashtanga Marga? They like that. If you tell them this is the way, they will say, why not? That is our tendency. So here Krishna is trying to, he doesn't benefit by making you worship him. You may think Krishna is trying to get some audience, get some supporters for him. No, it is for our benefit. That's why Krishna already told to Arjuna, I am speaking this for your benefit. It's not that I am going to benefit by your worshipping me. It is for your benefit. Hita kamyaya, I am desiring your benefit. So this Krishna Bhakti is the ultimate benefit for us. Why? Maya Veshya Mano Yema Nitya Yukta Upasate. Those who fix their mind on my personal form. Just like if you want to marry some person and you have never seen that person, never talked to that person, then and you say, okay, date has been fixed, you are married to this person. Then it's going to be very tough for you because you don't even know how that person looks, how he talks, how he acts. So similarly, if you want to progress in devotion or yoga, you have to have connection with that person. That's why it says, those who fix their minds on my personal form. What is personal form? Means God has a definition. This is how God looks. This is how God acts. These are the qualities of God. And all this, if you don't know that and simply try to worship God, you are not likely to be successful. Just like if I tell you, you have to marry some person without even knowing who he is, what he is, how he looks, how he behaves, it is very unacceptable. So similarly, those who fix their minds on my personal form, which means those who worship me voluntarily with full knowledge about me, knowing my name, my form, qualities, activities, my place, everything. Nitya Yukta Upasate, or always worship me, desiring to associate with me. So they are following the process given by me. What is the aim in following the process? Just like you're preparing for some exam. Before you got into IIT, you are preparing. What was the preparation for? So that you can come and stay in IIT, associate with the people here. Similarly, those who are worshipping Krishna, what is their aim? What is their objective? They want to associate with Krishna personally. So why people want to go abroad? Because they think the people abroad are very sophisticated. So somehow I have to work hard in this way. I apply and do these exams. Then I will get an opportunity to be personally with that person. Similarly, these people worship me, desiring to associate with me. So in other words, the perfection of yoga is to meet the object of the yoga practice. You should be able to attain, ultimately it should be a person. So just like you came to IIT not just to see all the equipments and all this thing, that's also true, but ultimately you want to meet the person who's operating the equipment and getting some results. Next, Shraddhaya Parayopetas. Upeta means endowed with great and transcendental faith. So why they are able to fix their mind and worship Krishna? Because they have faith. So faith is the starting point. Just like you had faith in this institution. That yes, if I do my studies here, my future will be bright. Similarly, those who are doing devotion also, they have some faith. And what kind of faith? Transcendental faith. Because we will see in the 17th chapter, their faith in the three modes are there, which means they keep on changing. Supposing you have a high building and the foundation is moving, obviously that building is going to collapse. But if the faith is deep-rooted, the foundation is deep-rooted, no matter how high you go, an earthquake comes also, they are stationary. Similarly, why they are able to worship Krishna and with the aim of associating with him and fixing their mind on his personal form, because they have great and transcendental faith, which means very deep. It is not blind faith. Teme yukta tama uttama mataha. Krishna himself says, are considered by me to be the most perfect. Such Ananya Bhaktas quickly attain me. So Krishna himself is declaring that such people have achieved me in the past also and will achieve in the future also. Just like previously when people used to plan to go abroad. Nowadays, people simply apply. Supposing thousands of universities are there, based on some random process, they try, they luck some here and there and something happens. But previously it was not like that. We used to write to the professors there and say that this is my score and this is my CGPA and I'm planning to do like this. And then that person used to write back and say, yes, you have a good chance of getting admission here. You go ahead and do the formalities. So this is a better way of approaching the whole thing. So that's why the Krishna says they are considered to be the most perfect, which means they are sure to attain the result of this Ananya Bhakti. Because if you say that, okay, you do devotion only, the next question is, okay, if I do devotion only, then what about other things? How will I function in society? What about my work? What about knowledge? So Krishna is assuring that you will become perfect by this process. Now Krishna is telling about those who don't follow this process. What is the process and destination of impersonal Brahman worshippers? If you say, no, I will not accept all this, I will not accept the greatness of devotion to Krishna only, or this bhakti only, then etve aksharam anirdeshyam avyaktam paryupasati. There are three important words here. Aksharam. Aksharam means indefinite. Indefinite means anirdeshyam, unmanifested. Avyaktam means unmanifested. Anirdeshyam means indefinite. Akshara means which is beyond sense perception. The same analogy, if you don't know where you are going, then it's going to be very difficult. If you don't know the address properly, you might have had this experience, a miserable time, how you wasted time because you didn't know that location properly. So if you're trying to approach God without knowing his form, qualities, name, and activities, it make you very troublesome. That's why this unmanifested worship is going to be troublesome. Secondly, it's beyond sense perception. Supposing I don't see something, smell, taste, touch something, I can't get a proper experience. Supposing I describe some food item, how very nice it is to look at, very soft and tasty. I keep on describing to you, and I don't feed it to you, then it's incomplete. But let us say I don't waste my time trying to explain to you, I just feed it to you and you eat it. Then that experience is much better than what I was trying to convey to you. So that's why which is something which is those who fully worship the unmanifested, which is beyond sense perception and indefinite. Supposing I say there is no limit to this. I ask you to do a course and I say this is an indefinite course. Then obviously you don't want it. You want to have some time limit. Sarvatra gam achintyam cha, all pervading, inconceivable. Just like if I try to understand the sun by the sunlight and heat, I get some information, but not complete information. Supposing I'm trying to understand the moon from its moonlight or whatever by sitting here. But why people wanted to go to the moon, land on the moon? Because the understanding, if I land on the moon, will be much better than trying to understand the moon sitting here on the earth. So, Kotastam achalam dhruvam, sanniyam yendriya kramam, sarvatra samabuddhaya, te prapnumanti mameva, savrabhuta hite rataha. So those who fully worship the unmanifested, which is beyond sense perception, indefinite, all-pervading, inconceivable, unchanging, fixed, and immovable. So these are all the qualities of the impersonal Brahman. Just like if you want to study energy in this world, You can come to many conclusions about what is energy, because that's why we say energy it keeps on changing its form. It is a kinetic energy, becomes potential energy. But if you don't know where the energy is originating, then it's very difficult to understand and manipulate it. By the process of controlling various senses, how they are trying to perceive this impersonal God, by trying to control this, just like a person is there, he wants to achieve something in some field. He's doing it under so strict conditions, spending all the time with that equipment or with the software. You have this experience that he has to control his senses a lot, because he is trying to understand something which is beyond his perception, and being equally disposed to everyone. For that, he has to be equally disposed. You have to satisfy many people. Just like you might be doing the research, and you have to publicly defend it, which means you have to satisfy so many people in the process. But such persons at last achieve me. So it takes a very long time if you follow this process, where you worship something which is unmanifested, beyond sense perception, indefinite, all-pervading, inconceivable, unchanging, fixed, and immovable, by the process of controlling various senses, being equally disposed to everyone. This is what normally all of us are doing at some point in time or the other. But the problem is such persons at last achieve me. This is a long process. Sarva Bhute Hite Rata, being engaged in the welfare of all. You have to serve so many people. Some people argue that service to mankind is service to God. They think that better than serve God is serve mankind. But the problem is, people are of different mentalities. And to satisfy them, or people think, why only one God? There's so many gods are there. I will worship all of them. So therefore, there are people who think that by serving many people and many gods, they'll achieve the same thing which they can achieve by worshipping one God. But Krishna says that is going to be very troublesome. Impersonalists also attain Krishna. What is the foundation for Krishna saying that the personal devotees are superior attainers of him? So one may ask, okay, at last I achieve, doesn't matter. I will take my own time. No? Some people will argue like that. If I say this is the truth, they will say, no, I don't accept it just because you're telling it. Let me experience it. Supposing I say this is not good for your health. And there are people who argue that doesn't matter. Let me experience it. Let me suffer or enjoy it. Then I will accept whatever you say. So who's intelligent? One person is, I'm telling him this is good and bad, and you're accepting it. Another person says, no, I will not accept it. Let me experience it for myself. Supposing a doctor says that this is good and bad, and you argue with him saying that, no, I don't accept you. Let me have the experience. Even though it is poison, doesn't matter. Even if I die, doesn't matter. Just like the person who wanted to study the taste of potassium cyanide. He was hell-bent. What he said, I will taste potassium cyanide. At that time, I will tell you exactly what is my experience. Immediately you write down. But what happened the moment you put potassium cyanide, you're dead. There's no time even for him to explain what is his experience. So that is foolishness. Someone has told you that it is poisonous, and you won't live to even explain what it is, that experience. So intelligent person will avoid. So there are people who will not accept this version of Krishna. So that's why Krishna says, troublesome path of the impersonalists. Klesho adhikataras tesha. Klesha means troublesome. Adhikataras means very much. Advancement is very troublesome for whom? Avyakta asakta chetasa. They are attached to this impersonal worship, whose minds are attached to the unmanifested impersonal feature of the Supreme. Supposing I tell you, let us go and meet the director. And you say, no, I don't want to meet him. Maybe he may say something and I may not know. There are some people like that. If you tell them this is the problem, there's a very good doctor, he'll go there. No, I don't want, maybe he's very expensive. So people have these inhibitions. They think they can achieve better without meeting that person. So we're attached to the unmanifest impersonal feature of the Supreme. Avyakta hi gati dukkam. To make progress toward the unmanifest is difficult. So that's what Krishna says. Why? Why is it difficult? Deha avapyate, for those who are embodied. If you have a form and you would like to meet another person who has a form similar to you, but if you God already showed, Krishna already showed to Arjuna his two-handed form. And if supposing Krishna came in some other form, we will not be able to relate with him. Because we have a form, a body like this, we can relate with another person who has a form like similar to us. But if that person comes without any form, like some ghosts and spirits are there, they don't have a form. And supposing they come, how many of you are likely to be comfortable with that situation? Let us say the Holy Spirit also comes now. And I say he's here right now. You will feel uncomfortable because you don't see him, you cannot talk to him, tell, touch. But let us say that a known devil is better than an unknown devil. So it's better to reciprocate with a person who has a form. So that also Krishna says, for those who are embodied, to make progress toward the unmanifest is difficult. And so now Krishna compares Bhakti Yoga versus Jnana Yoga. So what is Jnana Yoga? What is the Jnana Yogi trying to do? He is trying to acquire knowledge by himself. Instead of approaching a person who is already having the knowledge, he says that why I should accept what knowledge you have. I will experiment and find out myself. Supposing someone wants to know who is his father. He has been separated from his father and he is trying to find out who is his father, and he tries to experiment with all the men of his possible age of his father and tries to find out, okay, this is my father. It is going to take his whole lifetime. He will not be able to find out who is his father. But let us say a mother tells him that this is your father. Intelligent person will accept it because he has not seen his father, and mother knows his father very well, and she introduces him. That's a better situation. So that's why this Bhakti Yoga is better, or Jnana Yoga. Those who worship the impersonal features of the Supreme Lord are called Jnana Yogis. And those who perform devotional service in full Krishna consciousness are called Bhakti Yogis. The basic difference is the Jnana Yogi and Bhakti Yogi. The Bhakti Yogi approaches God in the way he wants us to approach. Supposing you want to go and meet a friend, and intelligent person, supposing a thief is there, he won't ask your address and come to your house. He will, some other way, he will try to find out and attack your house. But your friend, what he will do, he will call you up and say, I want to come and meet you. Can you please send me your pin location? And then you go. So Bhakti Yogi, he wants to approach God in the way God wants him to approach him. The Jnana Yogi thinks that, no, I don't accept God and I don't think he has all the knowledge and he will give me happiness or he is eternal. So let me pursue my own path. Like the Supreme Lord, the living entity is also originally Satchitananda, eternal, knowledge and blissful. Okay, why we should connect with God? Because we have similar nature to God. Just like why you came to IIT, because you want to be with people who are like similar caliber. Why the lawyers want to get together? Why the doctors want to have an association? Why the engineers have an association? Because like-minded people benefit. So similarly, why we need to associate with God? Because God is Satchitananda and our nature is also Satchitananda. We are also eternal. We also have some knowledge inherent in us. We also have the ability to be happy and we want to connect. You're a rich person, you want to connect with a richer person. You want to succeed in business. Why you want to do business with a person who's richer than you? Why you want to come to this college? Because you think there are people more intelligent than you. So like that, this yoga process means the living entity understands this is my nature and God also has this nature to an unlimited extent. So let me connect with him. So by Jnana Yoga, an embodied soul may realize the eternal knowledgeable aspects of his original nature, but the blissful portion is realized only by Bhakti Yoga, which is easier and is natural for the soul. Just like when you are doing this BTech, MTech and PhD, you are struggling. You might have this experience because you think why I should go through all this. But supposing you meet a person who has gone through this and succeeded, then you feel motivated. Yes, I am struggling right now, but I can see someone who has gone through these struggles and much better off. So it is worth the effort. So similarly, we can see that those who have gone through this process are happy, and which is easier and natural for the soul. By the grace of some devotee, this is a very important point. By the grace of some devotee, a transcendentalist highly learned in the process of Jnana Yoga may come to the point of Bhakti Yoga. Just like we might have been very intelligent, even before coming to IIT, some of us very talented, intelligent. But the government sponsored this institution and they made sure that the best equipment, best facilities are there, best professors are there. And that is one kind of a grace which we received. It's not just because I'm talented, I came up in life. I might have been talented, but I came across people who are much more talented than me. So this is known as the grace of some devotee. So if I am trying to succeed in devotion, I should come across some person who is more successful in me in the process of devotion. So even the goal of impersonal Brahman, which is attained by Jnana Yogis by suffering, is only by having a mixture with bhakti, without bhakti to the Lord. The worshippers of the impersonal Brahman obtain only suffering and not Brahman. Just like when the government is there, it is setting up some facilities. And the good citizens also benefit and the bad citizens also get some advantage out of it, isn't it? Just like one product is coming out in the market, immediately the duplicate also comes out. They're also thriving because of this original thing. The people who are producing the duplicate also get some benefit out of it. So similarly, those who don't worship God in his personal feature, they also derive some benefit. Just like when the sun is there, some plants, they're directly in that sun, like the lotus flower. It's the most beautiful flower. It directly gets the energy from the sun. And there are some plants who don't like the sunlight. They want to be in the shade, but they also benefit. So these people who are impersonalists, they also get some benefit. Though the Bhakti Yogis also endure difficulty in controlling senses and engaging in the various angas of Bhakti, because of the appearance of Krishna's blissful form, they do not experience. So, though the Bhakti Yoga process also, although we say it is easy, it is not easy if you don't follow the right process. Just like if I don't know driving and I'm giving the most expensive car, it may make my life miserable. There have been cases where the Titanic disaster, we say, it was the most sophisticated ship of the time. But whoever was in that ship, all the rich people, they drowned in the ocean. So, so if the bhakti process is not done properly, it may also be difficult. Here also we have to practice some sense control. But the advantage in Bhakti Yoga is Krishna personally reciprocates with us. You can see that reciprocation. Just like in Arjuna's case, Krishna was personally guiding him. Krishna was present in the battlefield. Everyone could see Krishna and even hear Krishna. But nobody approached Krishna for personal guidance, except Arjuna. So even though Krishna was there in the battlefield, many died also. But because Arjuna, just like sometimes some courses are very difficult. And some intelligent students, what they do after the class is over, they go and meet the professor personally. I used to have this problem. All my colleagues, they used to go and meet the person during other than the classroom hours. I used to think they are silly people. But they used to do much better than me. Why? Because they're having a personal connection. So similarly, in the bhakti process, you get to meet personally God and his representatives. It is not possible in the Jnana Yoga. So that's why this bhakti is simple and easy path of the personalist. And what is the quality of a personalist? He has Ananya Bhakti, which means he is not doing devotion with a motive. So why you try to avoid some person if you have some hidden motive, if you are not straightforward? Why people want to avoid some another person? They have some prejudice against that person, which means they want to avoid him for certain reasons, which they think that other person may not like or they don't like in the other person. Similarly, some people, why they don't want to approach God in his personal form? Because they have some motives. Why the thief? The thief can also, if he makes friendship with you, he can benefit from you. But he doesn't want to benefit from you in that way. He has some motive. So he avoids you. And without your knowledge, he tries to take something from you or get your benefit from you. So Etu sarvani karmani maya sanyasya matparaha ananyeneva yogena mam dhyayanta upasate. But for those who give up all their activities unto me, what is giving up all activities? Doesn't mean he stops his activities. Giving up all the activities, Krishna has already explained what is karma yoga. Karma yoga means not giving up the karma sannyasa, rather than using the results to do better work. Supposing you're working for some company and you're making a lot of salary, income is coming. One category of people simply spend it off. Other person, he will invest him that money to improve the quality of his work, so that it's not only for he is working for himself, but for working for others. So similarly, those who give up all their activities unto me. So giving up all activities doesn't mean giving up activity. Just like Arjuna, he thought that he can stop this war itself, not fight itself. But he also gave up his activity unto Krishna. What did he mean? Instead of fighting for himself or in his own way, he fought as directed by Krishna. So giving up activities unto me means you do those activities as directed by me. You are a student, be a student. You are a family man, be a family man, whatever you may be. But you do it as directed by Krishna. That's why he says being devoted to me. Devoted, the word comes from dovetail. Dovetail means you direct it. Supposing a person is bowling very fast at you, one option is you just defend it or get away from it. Other is you just slightly deflect it and it goes very easily. So similarly, you have to be devoted. You have to direct your activities properly. Ananyeneva yogena, without deviation, engaged in devotional service. Supposing you are shooting an arrow, it should not deviate. So once you have chosen to do devotion, you should not deviate your attention to karma, jnana or yoga, the Ashtanga yoga. Mam dhyayanta upasite, always meditating upon me and worshipping me. So two things are there: meditating, which means first you have to fix your goal, and then you have to act according. Just because you have a goal doesn't mean you will achieve it. You have to follow the process also. And tesham aham samuddarta, for them I am the swift deliverer. If you do these four things, what is that? Those who give up all their activities unto me, being devoted to me, without deviation, engaged in devotional service, always meditating upon me, worshipping me. If you do this much, what does God do? Tesham aham samuddata. I am the swift deliverer. He comes forward to help us. Mrityu samsara sagara, from the ocean of birth and death. What is the problem with birth and death? We are starting some activity and it's ending with death. Again I am born, again I am starting some activity, it's ending at the time of death. But what Krishna does, he will stop this birth, death, and cycle, so that you get a permanent body, which you can do that work to perfection. Bhavami na chirat partha. Bhavami means deliver them. He will help them to cross over. Chirat means quickly. The same thing which the jnani is struggling to do, it becomes easy for the devotee because God is personally helping him. Just like if you see most of the successful researchers, they attribute it to their guide. They had a very good guide, a very average student, but they succeeded a lot. So similarly, Maya Veshita Vedasam. Because they fixed their minds upon me. Because earlier in the Jnana Yoga chapter, Krishna says, Yogenamapi Sarvesham Madgadena Antaratmana. So here, the point here is fixing the mind on Krishna. How it is to be done? That we are doing, for example, we are chanting, hearing about him, talking about him, worshipping him, remembering him. These are all different ways to fix the mind on Krishna. But if you fix the mind on Krishna, then he will deliver you quickly from the ocean of birth and death. So having convinced Arjuna on this matter, thus Krishna explained the difference between worshipping his personal and impersonal features. While there is no reciprocation from the impersonal feature, there is full protection and swift deliverance from the personality Krishna. Again, same example. When we prepared for JEE, joint entrance exam, some of us used to follow some correspondence course, and we also made it. But if you see who are the top rankers, they had personal coaching. So this personal feature is unavoidable. So in the process of devotion also, we need to have reciprocation with Krishna. So how do we know Krishna is reciprocating? If you follow as he is telling, immediately he will reciprocate. That is the proof that he is reciprocating. Having established the supremacy of Bhakti, Krishna will now explain in the next 5 verses multiple levels of Bhakti beginning with the highest stage. So now Krishna is telling, okay, someone may say, I want to know what are the different categories. Because there are people on the different levels. If I know so-and-so at this level, next level, and even though I am not at the topmost, step by step, I will also achieve that. So Krishna is going to outline what are the beginning and highest to the lowest. The yoga ladder it's called, or the bhakti ladder. What are the progressive levels of bhakti? How do I know I'm progressing? How do I know someone has progressed better than me or behind me? First is the highest level of bhakti is with internal senses. Internal senses means the soul also has a mind, intelligence, and senses. And ego. All these are there in the soul itself. Right now, in our case, it is not active. So some people are able to do with those internal senses. So what is the advantage of that? Even if the body is changing, that's why sometimes child prodigies are there. Recently, someone sent a video of a person who's a 12-year doctor. He's able to perform surgeries. They tested him in London, a medical college in London, everything, and they certified the test is extraordinary. And there was a child pilot also. He's able to give directions to the most experienced pilot. How that knowledge carried with him. Obviously, from one soul, one life to another, it has gone. So likewise, some people are able to do devotion despite the changes happening to the body. So that is bhakti with the internal senses. Because right now also our body is constantly changing. And ultimately at the time of death, we may have to change another body also. But those who have practiced devotion with the internal senses, the bhakti will continue even at the time of death. When they're dying also, they will be able to do devotion. There are some extraordinary cases. At the time of devotion also, they are fully conscious. And they can tell you what is happening to them also. So fix your mind on me exclusively. Maya eva mana adatsva. By remembering me always. That's what 8th chapter also Krishna told. What you think at the time of death, that will decide your future. So unless you practice remembering Krishna throughout your life, it's not going to be possible to remember him at the time of death. So same thing is saying, fix your mind on me exclusively, maya eva mana adatsva, by remembering me always. So if you have to remember Krishna always, you should know about him, Krishna. And you may say, if I think about Krishna, what about me? What about people around me? What about the world around me? That is also possible. It's not that if you become a devotee, you will forget this world, forget your relationships. No. You will know that better. So fixing your mind exclusively by remembering me always. So this is Smarana Atmika Bhakti. This Smarana means it is happening at the level of the soul, where the ego, the false ego, you have crossed beyond the false ego. Then fix your mind, intelligence on me. So mind alone is not enough. Mind is required, but along with that, intelligence also. Mayi buddhim niveshaya. How? By contemplating on me, based on scriptural descriptions. There are two things. The mind is there. Mind will simply accept whatever, but with the discrimination, which means you also need scriptural directions. So for that, you have to use your intelligence. Even the earlier chapter, Krishna told, worship me with your intelligence, which means you follow the directions of scriptures. This is Manana Atmika Bhakti. What will be the result? Thus you will live in me always without a doubt. You will be able to, just like a doctor is there, even the moment he sees an X-ray or a report, immediately he is able to diagnose and tell what's the problem. If I give it to you, you will do Google search and this and that and try to understand, never understand it. Because you don't have the knowledge or the intelligence. But if you do fix your intelligence on Krishna by following the spiritual directions, then you will live in me always without a doubt. Then one may say, no, I cannot fix my mind, I cannot fix my intelligence because I don't know much about Krishna, neither I have practiced it. Then Krishna says, try to fix your mind on Krishna. Just attempt. Just like we are going to chant one round. Some of us are chanting 16 rounds, or sometimes some of us have chanted 128 rounds, all that. Someone may say, no, it's not at all possible. Then we say at least one mantra, 16, 108 times, 10 times, something you do. Try to fix your mind on me. If you cannot fix your mind upon me without deviation, then endeavor to fix the mind on me. Just like some of you, when you try to get into IIT, some people thought not at all possible for me, I will not even attempt. And some people attempted. At least let me try. So we have to begin it somewhere. And Krishna also said in the earlier chapter, among some people, someone is endeavoring means that opulence is coming from me. Adventure. I am adventure among those who endeavor. So by following the regulative principles of bhakti, just like when you are trying to learn cycling, you are struggling to cycle, but then you put some support systems and then you try to do something. So these regulative principles are there. They try to help you to do devotion. There are many regulative principles that are prescribed. So if you follow those principles, that is not essentially devotion, but it may help you to do perfection in devotion. Just like when you were a child, when we are learning to write, we had a rule notebook, which means that a teacher will say, you write your alphabet within these 2 lines. And they hold your hand and they keep on telling you to write the same alphabet 20 times, repeat the same passage, revise it 100 times. So this is a regulative principle. You regulate it, okay, I'm not doing something to perfection, so I'll keep on practicing for 1 hour, 2 hours. So you follow the regulative principles of bhakti, sadhana bhakti, that is withdraw the mind repeatedly from sense objects and fix it on me. Right now, we are not able to fix our mind all the time on Krishna. At least sometime you devote for that by following something. This is abhyasa rupa bhakti. Abhyasa means practice. Krishna told in the earlier chapter that it's very difficult to control the restless mind, but it's possible by suitable practice. If you follow the practice, just like if you want to recover from disease, the doctor will tell you to some practices. You have to do this exercise daily. You have to take this medicine regularly. You follow this diet. So what is the result? In this way, one can develop a desire to attain. Initially, the desire is not there. For something, you are told to do something, you don't like to do that. But whether you like it or not, just like a doctor is telling to take some medicine, you don't like to take the medicine or go through the treatment. But as you are taking up that process, slowly, you get the interest in that. Nobody liked anything in the beginning. But once we made an effort and started it, then that desire comes. So that's what Krishna is saying. Now, Abhyasa Yoga, but one thing is here, under the guidance of a spiritual master. Everything has to be done under some proper guidance. Just like when you take the medicine, it is written on the medicine to be taken under the direction of a medical supervisor. So under the guidance of a guru, one can follow the prescribed practice of Bhakti Yoga. If you try to do them on your own, it may be difficult. Supposing you want to learn to drive a car, you can do it on your own also. But you keep some training and under his guidance you learn. So under the guidance of the guru, one can follow the prescribed practices of Bhakti Yoga, like chant the holy names of Krishna, offering flowers and foodstuffs as duty, taking prasadam, hearing scriptures from devotees and so on. So this abhyasa means not only you do it independently, but under guidance. Now these above 3 types of bhakti, the smaranatmika, mananatmika and abhyasa rupa are performed internally with mind and intelligence. Now intelligent and inoffensive people can perform them easily. So what is inoffensive means? Krishna told earlier for the doubting soul. If you all the time you're doubting this process, you take it up, then give it up. This is not good. That is an offensive mentality. Without it, supposing a doctor has prescribed some medicine, there are some people, they take some tablets and throw away the rest. They give up the treatment. So that is offensive, which means that person is trying to do good to you and you reject it. So that's why intelligent and inoffensive people can perform them easily, while less intelligent people find them difficult. So there are some people, no matter how simple you make it, they'll find it very difficult because they come with some inhibitions. Mentally, they have some problem. Just like some Ayurvedic medicines, they won't work on some people because they have a certain mindset, which is very difficult for them to benefit from that. As the mind is fickle like the wind, one may not be able to restrain it. For those who cannot even gradually fix the mind by practice, Krishna suggests the following option. These three things, that is fixing the mind on Krishna, intelligence on Krishna, are practicing. That is also not possible. If I tell you, you practice this, people say, no, that's not possible. Maybe one time, 2 times I can do. After that, give up. So then what's the next option? Bhakti with external senses. Work for Krishna. That's what does it mean? If you cannot practice sadhana bhakti, then just try to perform your activities for my pleasure. So, okay, you cannot do any of these 3 things. Obviously, you are doing some work as a student or a family man or some employed somewhere. You're doing some work. Obviously, that work will have some result. That result, you engage it, you give it to someone who is already doing that devotion. That's why we go to the temple and give some donation. Because the pujari in the temple is running, continuously doing devotion. And I am not able to do. I am happy doing my job or whatever. And obviously that result, I'll get some money or something out of it. And I go and put it as a donation. If you cannot practice sadhana bhakti, then just try to perform your activities for my pleasure. Mat karma paramo bhava. Though your mind is not on me. What is the result? Thus you will attain perfection. So gradually, even though you are not engaged in sadhana bhakti, you are doing some other work, but slowly you become connected. Just like people first become a life member. Life member means he's just giving a donation. Like for example, I gave a donation of 10,000 when I joined. But then slowly I thought, let me attend the programs. Then I'm doing it more than what a life member is expected to do. So working for Krishna includes offering charity to build Krishna's temples or publishing books. By doing such work, even without remembering Krishna, one can still attain perfection. Volunteer work done for satisfaction of Krishna is spiritual activity. Just like the squirrel was there. The squirrel was trying to help Lord Rama build the bridge across to Lanka. By qualification, the squirrel is nothing. But in its own capacity, it tried to do something. And God appreciated that. So, we may not be perfect devotees, but if someone is doing devotion perfectly, if we try to assist him, then also we will progress. Those who can do bhakti by both internal extensions are most outstanding, but one may not be able to even work for Krishna because of social, family, and religious considerations or other impediments. So one may say, no, that also I cannot do. I can't even give a donation. There are some people, they go to temple, but they don't put any money in the donation box. Under that condition only, they will come to the temple. If you tell me I have to give donation, no, I can't come. If you have to do this puja, that puja, no, I will not come. I will come, I'll simply come and go. That also Krishna says, those who cannot do, but one may not be even able to work for Krishna because of social, family, and religious considerations or other impediments. Krishna will now advise such people to sacrifice the results of the activities, if not fully, at least some percentage of the results. What is the other option? Okay, if you cannot even donate, you are going to earn money. Instead of trying to enjoy everything for yourself, you learn practice to give it to someone else, maybe your own family member. There are some people, they don't even give money to their family members or their own relatives. I have seen so many cases. In my own family members also, all the life they've been earning money and they thought this family member will ask me money, I will keep distance from him. They kept on avoiding. And when they died also, nobody came to the burial ground. So what Krishna is saying, at least if you don't want to give it to me, you practice giving the result of your activity to someone else whom you trust. That's what next. So if you cannot offer your actions, then try to act, giving up all results of your work. Sarva karma phala tyagam, and try to be self-situated, which means you redefine yourself. People think I am so and so, but then they think, no, I am not alone. I have so many friends, family members, society is there. I have to think about them also. That's what Krishna says, self-situated. Now, abhyasa, this is the progress. First, you have to practice. Mechanically, you have to do some things. Then you have to practice it with some knowledge. And then you have to go deeper into that and meditate on this, why I am doing, how I should be doing. And then ultimately comes tyaga. Then only you will be really start thinking about others. Right now, we are not about when the child is born. It is not thinking about anyone. It's only concerned about its food and its survival and breathing, whatever. It is the moment child is born, it's not thinking, oh, my mother is there, father is there, brother is there, friends are there, society is there, country is there. It's not at all thinking. It's only thinking about itself. But slowly, as it is growing, it starts thinking about others, tyaga. So therefore, Shreyoshi Jnanam Abhyasa, Jnana Jnanam Vishishyate, Jnana Karma Phala Tyagas Chanti Anantaram. So why this progress is required? The last portion is say one can attain peace of mind. If you see who are the most peaceful, they are the ones who are working for others. Those who are only thinking about themselves, their mind is always disturbed. But you see, some people, so many people are criticizing, for example, the Prime Minister, President, whatever. So many people are criticizing them left and right, but they are peaceful. Because internally they are getting the satisfaction that doesn't matter, even if some are criticizing me, there are some people who are benefiting because of me. So knowledge is better than practice. Meditation is better than knowledge. Renunciation of fruits of work is better than meditation. What is the result of renunciation? One can attain peace of mind. So here, why this renunciation is there? Because the last chapter of Bhagavad Gita is talking about perfection of renunciation. Arjuna, initially he thought, I'm fighting this war for myself and my family members. He was thinking that is the criteria. But then when he understood that I am fighting now the same battle for Krishna and that will benefit everyone, so that is perfection of renunciation. Renunciation means you work, but work with a higher goal. Okay, we'll not go into these details. Quickly, we'll come to what are the qualities which endure. Okay, now, highest goal has been told. If I cannot achieve the highest, what are the different levels? Who are the people at different levels? Now, how do I know I'm progressing through these different levels? Just like if you are recovering from disease, you should know, okay, at the end of one day, this problem is solved. Like that, by the end of so many days, the fever has completely subsided. So like that, or if you are saying you're progressing in your studies or whatever, you have to be able to pass some exams by which you know that, yes, I am progressing. So this bhakti process is something which makes you dear to Krishna. Krishna will certify, yes, you are on the right path. Just like when you're getting promotions, you know that institution is appreciating your progress. They're accepting, yes, acknowledging that you are progressing in the right direction. Similarly, how do you know I'm progressing in bhakti? Because ultimately what happens, Krishna has all the good qualities. And if you are doing devotion properly, those good qualities will come to us. Just like if you are a son of a very rich person or famous person, whenever you accompany that famous person or rich person, people will think you are also rich and famous. That credit will come to you also. So similarly, when you are doing devotion, whatever qualities are there in God in unlimited extent, at least some portion will come in you. So what are those qualities? Bhakti is the most effective path of spiritual advancement. Because those qualities are there in us also. But somehow they are covered up. Now once we connect with God, those qualities will come out which is inherent to us. A bhakti yogi exhibits transcendental qualities. What is transcendental quality? It means which never end, unlimited. Yeah. Right now we are having some qualities, but they are constantly changing. But if you have some quality which never changes, people appreciate that. They notice that. See, this person, I've seen him talk 10 times. Every time it was perfect. Or I have seen him cook 20 times. Every time the cooking was very good. Which means there's some consistency. So that is not as a transcendental quality, which means that quality never decreases. Which make him dear to Krishna. Because Krishna is of the highest standard. If someone should be dear to him means, obviously there is some standard. Krishna is pleased with such a devotee as he describes in this section by using the word Priya in most verses. Now Krishna tells, how do you recognize a devotee? What are these qualities which will manifest in you as you progress in devotion? Adveshta sarva bhutana, not envious toward anyone, including the envious. Who are the most successful? If you see, they appreciate others and they are appreciated by others. Which means they see the good in others and they want others to see the good in you. That is a non-envious person. You see, the most successful business. I just heard how a person was most successful. I was asking my wife about, she works in Reliance. I wanted to know how this person was successful in such a short time. So she sent me a video, and his success story is he is appreciating others. He's looking for opportunities in others. He sees an ability in you which I don't see, because I am envious of you. I don't see the good in you. But if I am not envious, I see the good in you. I am trying to integrate with you, and this way both of us benefit. So Adveshta Sarvabhutana, not envious toward anyone, including the envious. But there may be some people who are openly envious towards you. That's why some people, when the other person criticizing us, we feel hurt. But there are some people who take it sportively. And I've seen lifelong they're criticizing each other, but sometimes they get together in a very jovial way. I've seen some politicians out there. In the newspapers, they will be criticizing left and right. But then they meet them personally and they're very cordial. So intelligent enemy is better than a foolish friend. So Yudhishthira, Ajata Shatru, Yudhishthira, he didn't see anyone as an enemy, although Duryodhana always saw him as his enemy. Maitra means friendly to all. Friendly means who's a friend, who's always giving to you. Friend means a friend in need is a friend indeed. He will come to your help even if you don't ask for it. That is friendly to all. He's always giving himself to others. Karuna evacha, kind and merciful to all. Merciful means, again, you are pleased with someone, you appreciate someone. That is mercy. That is a mercy petition, we say. The president is giving a mercy petition. A person is convicted to death or something. He pleads to the president. What is at least he's asking me, is begging forgiveness. That is merciful. And nirmama, free from sense of proprietorship. Proprietorship means you think everything belongs to me. I am the enjoyer, I am the controller. But free from the sense of you think, this facility is there, it's not just for me, that everyone benefit. So, nirahankara, free from false ego or identification with the body. False ego means you identify yourself with something you are not. Supposing I claim to be something who I am not, that is false ego. But I am humble or modest means I say this is what I am. I am nothing more than this. Then that I am free from false ego. Free from false ego or identification with the body. What is the biggest false ego? To think that I am the body. So why it is false ego? Because I know very well this body which I am having now, I didn't have it a few years back. When I was in the womb of the mother, I was a tiny size. Right now I am so big. And when I die, obviously this body is not going to go with me. So, but if I continue to adamantly say that I am this body, then that is a huge ego. And samadukka sukha, chami. See, equivalent happiness and distress, forgiving and tolerant. Why happiness, distress? What is happiness today can become the cause of distress. What is distress today can become the cause of happiness tomorrow. This experience we all of us have. Supposing you like some food, you simply want to enjoy it and devour it. And then after eating it, you regret because after the effects. So happiness today can become the cause of distress. And sometimes you're struggling in some course or something. But after you go through the struggle, you are happy. Yes, if not for that struggle, I would not have reached this. So chami means forgiving. Chamata. Chamata means to forgive is divine. To err is human, but forgive is divine. In other words, you are trying to help others, even if they are doing some mistakes. You understand and try to help them and tolerate. Chamata means also tolerance. Santushta sadatam yogi. Satisfied always in devotional service. So first of all, unless you are satisfied, you cannot do something. Supposing you are doing, if you see people who are most successful, it's not because of the package or the company or whatever. It's job satisfaction, which means they like the work they are doing. So then it doesn't matter really whether they are getting recognized or what. So similarly, satisfied always in devotional service. Why he is satisfied? Because he knows he is serving the ultimate master. Yatatma drida nishtaya. So he is self-controlled and determined. Self-control means he's using his senses. Self-control means doesn't mean he stops his senses. He is properly utilizing them and determined to achieve the goal. Mayarpita manobuddhi, mind and intelligence fixed on me, which means he is using the mind and intelligence as directed by me. Madbhakta samepriya, such a devotee of mine is very dear to me. Yasman no dvijate loko, lokan no dvijate ya. No one is agitated by him, he is not agitated by anyone. So this is another quality of a devotee. He doesn't get, just like a player in the cricket match is there. If someone is shouting in the crowd against you, you get discouraged. But an expert player, he doesn't bother. He doesn't get disturbed. He continues to play his game properly. So no one is agitated by him, nor he is agitated by anyone. Even if someone is trying to agitate you, you try to improve yourself. That is the intelligent person. Harsha, Marsha, Bhayodvega. Harsha, Amarsha means joy, means Harsha. Amarsha means distress. Bhaya means fear. Udvega means anxiety. Equipoised in joy and distress, fear and anxiety. Why? Because that is the nature of this world. Just like you're on the ocean, waves will be going up and down. If they don't go up and down, you cannot move forward. So you take it in your stride. That otherwise, if you're always happy, you will never improve. If you're always distressed, also you will not improve. So you need a mixture of both joy, distress, fear and anxiety. Unless you have some fear and anxiety, you won't improve also. Where Mukto Yasame Priya, such a devotee is very dear to me. Here it says, this is Mukta. Mukta means he's free from these dualities. Anapeksha Shuchis Daksha Udasina Gatavyataha. Anapeksha means apeksha, free from expectation, devoid of all expectation from his work. Which means when you do some work, you can have some expectations. Not that you won't have any expectation, but don't have undue expectations. Anapeksha Shuchi means clean. Cleanliness, both bodily cleanliness and mental cleanliness. And Daksha means expert, skillful. There are some people, if you give them the worst instrument, they can play very good music. There are many instances. The he blames his tools. Bad workman or something is there, he blames his tools. Supposing a person is not doing well, first thing he will say, this tool is not good, that is not good. But the expert is such that even if you give him the worst thing, he can improvise on that situation. And Udasina means without cares, unattached to material persons. Udasin doesn't mean careless, carefree. Carefree is different from carelessness. Which means you give as much attention that is due to that. Either you totally neglect it or you try to give too much attention. That is not good. Some people, the parents are there, they spoil their child. Some people spoil the child by giving too much attention or not giving any attention. But you have to give the necessary attention. That is, it says Udasina. Udasina doesn't mean he is careless. He gives as much as due is required. Gata Vyataha, free from all pains or designations. Because these designations will keep on changing. So he is not holding on. There are some people, even after retirement, they come to the office because they're used to that working in the office. Even if they don't get the salary, they think, okay, I should go to office. So this is the problem. And Sarvaramba Parityagi, free from all material endeavors, which means unnecessary endeavors. You have to work for something, but unnecessary endeavors are avoided. Yo Madbhakta, such a devotee is very dear to me. Yo na hrishyati na dveshti, no shochati na kankshati, shubha shubha parityagi, bhakti mansame priyaha. Neither rejoices nor grieves, neither laments nor desires, renounces all auspicious and inauspicious things. Because he knows that if I'm too happy also it's a problem. If I'm too depressed also it is a problem. So he tries to balance it. And neither lament and hankering. Lamentation means you're thinking about the past. Oh, I lost this. I failed here. But desire means hankering means you're too much going into the future. You're expecting so much in the future. Both are not good. Or auspicious and inauspicious. Again, auspicious, inauspicious, very relative. Supposing you go to the doctor. For you, it is inauspicious. The disease is inauspicious. For the doctor, it is auspicious because he is getting a patient. A lawyer is there, you are getting into a legal problem. For you, that legal problem is inauspicious. But for the lawyer, it is auspicious because he is getting one client. So like that, what is auspicious, inauspicious is also very relative. And Samashatrau cha mitre cha tata manapu shitoshna shubhadukkeshu sama sangha vivarjitah. Equal to friends and enemies. So same example I told, intelligent enemy is better than a foolish friend. So someone may be a friend or enemy, it's circumstantial. Today someone may be a friend, he may become an enemy tomorrow. Someone who is my enemy today may become a friend. Doshti Dushman, some movie was there. Which means they were enemies. Friends become enemies, enemies become friends. So these are all very circumstantial. Based on our past karma, someone becomes my friend or my enemy. And equipoised in dualities. Honor, dishonor, heat, cold, happiness, and distress. These are dualities. Why the dualities are arising? Because of the three modes of material nature. These dualities will arise naturally. You just tolerate them, accept them. Someone is honoring you, accept it. Someone is blaspheming you, accept it. If there's too hot, too cold, accept it. Happiness, distress, accept it with proper knowledge. And samasanga vivajjita. Here, sangha vivajjita means free from contaminating association. So what is contaminating association? Association which degrades you. Good association means which uplifts you. Supposing you are surrounded by people who are negative minded, then you also become negative in whatever you do. Tulya ninda stutir mauni santushto yena kenachit. Equal in criticism and praise, silent. So what is a mauni? Mauni means he doesn't talk unnecessarily. You have to talk, but don't talk unnecessarily. The frog is there, is always making noise, but it's only inviting the snake. By talking too much also problem, if talk too less is also problem. So the mauni means he knows how much to talk. Santushta yena kechit, satisfied with whatever comes of its own accord. Which means he knows that the world is so arranged that what is I need, that is always there. If you look for what I need, you will find it all around you. But if you are greedy, no matter how much you have, you will feel something is lacking. Aniketa stira munir. So doesn't care for any aniketa. Aniketa means is not fixed to one particular position. Some people become so conditioned that they will be able to perform only at a certain situation. Only in their house they can do something, or only in one particular situation. But here it says doesn't care for any residence, which means in any situation they will be able to do their work properly. Doesn't care for any residence. Sthiramatir, steady in mind, fixed in knowledge. What is steady in mind means? Mind cannot be stopped. Mind thoughts will be coming. Like you do a brainstorming session and you are encouraging everyone to tell whatever they think is right. You don't say, you don't talk, you tell everything, whatever you should say, you should justify it or should be correct. No, we allow them to talk. So mind should be allowed freely to think. But at the same time, we should be steady. Just like you ask for opinions. People give many opinions. They may be good, bad, ugly, whatever. But you don't get disturbed by it and make the right choice. Steady in mind, fixed in knowledge. How is that possible when you are fixed in knowledge? Just like the High Court judge is there. He's sitting and both the lawyers are arguing very heated way. This fellow is saying he's right. The other lawyer is saying he's right. But the judge, if he gets disturbed, when will he get disturbed if he doesn't know the law? If he doesn't have the right experience, then he will be disturbed. But if he has the knowledge, then even though mind is giving so many options, you will intelligently use the mind in your favor. Bhakti Mansabhi, such a devotee is very real. In other words, Krishna is saying being a devotee is not a cheap thing. Being a devotee means you will develop all these good qualities. He's not encouraging you to become a devotee just for the sake of some sentiment. Which means Krishna is assuring you that in the past, so many have followed this process. They have developed these qualities because Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is only giving the theory. In the Bhagavatam, we can see so many case histories of how people followed this process and achieved the goal of life. Bhaktiman yetu dharmamrutam idam yatoktam paryupasate shraddadana matparama bhaktasve ativa me priyaha. This is the conclusion. It says, very, very dear to me. Those who follow this imperishable path of devotional service and completely engage with faith, making me the supreme goal, such devotees are very, very dear to me. So this is the conclusion of this chapter, or you can say the Bhagavad Gita, middle section. First thing is those who follow this imperishable path of devotion, which means you will never fail in this process. Even if you fail, it will be at your advantage. Just like if this champions trophy is there, that is the chess championship. Even if you lose, you will get some money. So like that, those who follow this imperishable path of devotion, which means there's no limit to devotion. Imperishable, which means there will always be people who will be doing devotion. Maybe after some 100 years, 200 years, this institution may not exist. It's not like that with the devotion. The past, there have been devotees. The present, there are devotees. Future also devotees will be there, and devotees also will be achieve perfection. So that's why it says imperishable path of devotional service, completely engaged, which means wholeheartedly you should do it with faith. What is that faith? Faith means that you're convinced, fully convinced that if I do devotion, I'll achieve this perfection. Why you came to IIT, you had the faith that this is a recognized institution, and if I follow this, I will get this result. Similarly, you should have this faith that by devotion, I will achieve all perfection and making me the supreme goal. Such devotees are, so supreme goal means they want to associate with Krishna. They are confident that I will associate with Krishna. So he is also very eager to meet them. Okay, we'll stop this here. Any comments or questions? Pass the mic. We have someone with louder voice, you can also really ask. So he is asking how to remember. Remember comes from meditation. Meditation means you have to, just like the cow is there, it takes the grass first. It first swallows the grass and then it brings it out and starts chewing it. By chewing, it has 4 stomachs. Actually, the cow has 4 stomachs. And it cannot send it just like that. It has to grind it properly and then feed it. So similarly, when you hear something, the way to remember is try to recollect it. That's why Krishna is asking at the end of Bhagavad Gita also, Sanjaya tells to Dhritarashtra that I am constantly recollecting this, what I heard. I am trying to remember it again and again. And the more I try to remember, I am getting more happiness. Similarly, we have heard now and we will forget it. But we should end, just like I am speaking for 30 times, I have read this Bhagavad Gita, 1,000 pages. So first time I thought it's such a big book, 1,000 pages, how much I will read. But by reading, gradually attempting something and trying to remember, recollect, then that becomes deeply implanted. So similarly, you heard this, it will be there, but you have to bring it out by trying to read it again or hear it again. Then it will gradually become absorbed in your mind, senses. All this will become natural to you. This remembrance becomes natural. Right now, we have to force ourselves to remember something. But by endeavoring, slowly this becomes a natural. In any case, even if you forget whatever I told you right now, just you have memory recall. In old calculators, for example, you save it in memory and you press that memory recall, it comes back. So even if you forget whatever I told, everything here, you didn't understand also, at the end of this, we'll be chanting the Mahamantra. That Mahamantra will help us to remember. There are actually many things we have forgotten. Many lifetimes we had so much knowledge, so many experiences, but we have forgotten. But if you go to the expert doctor, the hypnotist, he can make you remember all of them. So similarly, the sound vibration helps you to recover this knowledge, which we have actually by hearing me, actually, I'm making you remember something which all of you have forgot. Just in 1 hour, I have to 1.5 hours we spend. All of you know it, but right now we have forgotten it. And by someone talks about it, you remember it. So, but the best way to remember what you have forgotten is to chant the Lord's name, which we will be doing shortly. That will help you. That's why Krishna says, Dadami Buddhiyogam. I give the knowledge by which you can come to me. It's not that I know and you don't know. All of us know. But when we chant the Lord's name, this knowledge can be revived. Any other question? Someone else has any question? Yes. Yes.
Just now, in one of the shows, he loves his daddy in his mom
Yes.
This so when the activity is really
Yes, see, there are perceptions at 3 levels. Bodily, your perception is of heat and cold. And mentally, we have some perceptions. That is honor and dishonor. And intellectually also, we have some perceptions. But ultimately, we have the soul. So, the activities of the soul should continue, even though there are disturbances due to the body. That's why the Adhyatmika, Adi Bhautika, and Adi Devika, 3 types of sufferings are there in this world, experienced by every living being. Even Brahma are the smallest, and it has 3 experiences. One is Adhyatmika, from my own body and my mind, depending on this body. For example, my body, I have some diseases. Some people are able to, for example, me, I cannot tolerate extreme cold. I have never been to cold places, or even if I have been, for me difficult. So because I have one particular type of body, I am susceptible to this experience of heat and cold. Then Adhyatmika is also due to my mind, and Adi Bhautika means due to other living entities. Some disturbance may be caused by other living entities, like this pandemic was there. It was caused by other living entities. We are getting the disease from someone else. Adi Devika means natural calamities. There was a flood, a volcano, or the earthquake. These are all natural calamities. But there is a way to not be disturbed by all these things. Just like sometimes some people, even if there's very hot and cold, because they like the work they are doing, they will be able to do it. Like the example is given that the women in the kitchen, the woman has to go to the kitchen to cook, and it will be hot summer season. But because she likes the cooking and she thinks that by cooking this, I will be serving my family members, She doesn't mind being in that hot place. Or the yogis are there. They are trying to practice yoga in the Himalayas. So there is some advantage there. It's a cold place, nevertheless. Some people want to go to foreign countries. They know very well it's a very cold climate. But they are able to do some things there which is not possible here. Why? Because they see they are understood that they are getting the benefit there. So even though the situation is disturbing, because they understood the essence of it, what is the benefit they are getting, they are able to tolerate that disturbance.
Basically, when we are feeling, like you said, happiness and distress, it is on us. But heat and cold is not on us. Whereas heat and cold also can be dependent on us, because if the mind is not to it, if you are, say, too happy or too sad or too disturbed, you will not feel the heat or the cold around, because the mind is somewhere else. Unless and until it is so cold that you freeze, we may not even notice that it is cold. The same way, we may not even notice that it is hot, because we are too absorbed in what we are doing. The mind is absorbed somewhere else. So that, to an extent, is also dependent on us, and the body adapts somewhat to the mind. Like example that he's giving, I have myself seen picture of a yogi in Badrik Ashram. He is wearing just a lion cloth, and he's got long hair. His hair is all on one side, and he is it's open, jatayan just open, and there's snow on that. There's some snow on his shoulder, and he is his eyes are very far away. So in that shop where we saw, I asked that shopkeeper. He said, yes, he just left his body 2 months ago only. He was staying a little higher up than where we are right now. And he is a yogi. He's beyond heat and cold. It's possible to achieve that beyond heat and cold even in this body, in our lifetime.
Like in the Second World War, Nazis concentration camps, it was so horrible that people were dying. Every day, a lot of people were dying. But there are some people who are still surviving. So they did research on them to find out how, when everyone was dying in this situation, these people, so they found out that these people had developed the mindset by which they were not disturbed in that situation. So no matter how much torture they had to go through, they still survived. They do these studies also on the effects of poison also. Some people are able to tolerate better than any heat, or whether it's toxicity or explosion, everything. It depends on the tolerance of that person. Strictly speaking, bodily, they are same. Both have the same bodies, everything. But the mindset makes a lot of difference in tolerating these bodily pains also.
So in the material world, there is no thing called adversity quotient. Like we have intelligence, which is supposed to be 8-fold. It is not just academic intelligence. So academic intelligence, emotional intelligence, social intelligence, and the fourth thing, which is very much in nowadays, which is being researched, that is the adversity quotient, especially in today's age, because people have 1 or 2 children. So the children are brought up with a lot of pampering. They have not faced adversities because parents have kept them very protected. So how do they react when they face an adversity, which will happen in everybody's life, big or small? If we take every small thing to heart, eventually it will affect the heart. But if we learn to let go of that, then it doesn't affect us. Good and bad will still happen to us, but it will not affect us. And if we can add spirituality to it, then this is what life is all about. We have been hearing everybody comes here and faces misery. This world is temporary. We don't belong here. We belong somewhere else. So when we face any adversity, that time if we can remember these things, it doesn't affect us at all. We can reach that stage where it doesn't affect us. It happens by practice. And that is what this chapter is all about. Because instead of trying to say this should not affect me, we attach ourselves to Krishna. By attaching ourselves to Krishna, the love for Krishna becomes so strong and so all-encompassing that it does not The other things don't matter. Like say, if you're in love and if you're meeting your girlfriend or whoever, wife, that time if she's there in front of you and there's some small irritant or some mosquito bite or some doorbell clang, it doesn't bother. It's not important. So if the love for Krishna becomes so strong, then these small things further. In fact, they use that to propel themselves more into love for Krishna. Because we say that this world is so bad. Every time there is so much of misery. Why go through this world? Better I come back to you, or better I serve you, because when I serve you, I don't feel misery.
The question here is, although the Krishna has listed all these qualities, the main element is the devotion. Even if you say, I'm not able to tolerate heat and cold, honor, dishonor, that is possible, quite possible. But Krishna says that if you do this devotion, that is secondary. That may be there, may not be there. Those qualities may develop, may not. That is secondary. The primary thing is to be devotion. So even if you don't have the qualities, there will be definitely someone who has those qualities. Just like in America, they hire the Mexicans for some jobs because a lot of snow falls in US. And the Americans, they are so lazy that they don't want to remove the snow. But they hire the Mexican people because their bodies, maybe mental makeup is such that they can do jobs which these people cannot do. Why Americans, they're hiring people from other countries? Because they don't have the mindset for doing the job. So like that, when you become a devotee, even if you don't have the qualities, there will be definitely someone who has those qualities and you take help from them. That is the point of view. Because that person has developed that quality over many lifetimes. For you to develop those qualities right now, it may not be possible. But at least you appreciate that person. Okay, he's better than me, so maybe I should align with him because I'm doing the same devotion. I don't have the qualities, and he's also doing the devotion, and he has those qualities, which Krishna is telling. Which means then I have to approach him. This also that way you can interpret it. I've seen personally, like Prabhupada is there. He went to Allahabad Kumbh Mela. Many Westerners disciples went with him. They're youngsters also, and he is 80 years old. And they were hesitating to go out and take bath in the morning because it's too cold in Allahabad at that time, Kumbh Mela time. And he was 80 years old, not well also, but he went and took an ice cold water bath. He demonstrated to them that you have to practice like this. So initially when you're taking a cold bath, first mud will be so chilly, but once you keep pouring water, after that, the body can adapt to that cold also. Similarly, heat also. Why people are able to live on the sun planet? There are living entities living on the sun. For us, we are so far away from the sun, we are not even able to tolerate it. But there are living entities who are adapted to the sun climate. The Eskimos are there, they are in the Arctic region. How they are able to survive there? Because they have adapted to that. So basically what it means is the soul has so much power, and that power can come through devotion. You can tolerate any amount of disturbance in this material world, either from your body, mind, other living entities, or natural calamities. That's why even that. Okay, we're going on and on. We'll stop here. Any other questions before that chanting?
Yeah. But thank you for the question.
Okay, we'll do one round of chanting. We'll circulate the beats. So the chanting is sound, the same knowledge. Okay, thanks. People are on the Zoom. We'll do this 11th chapter in detail Monday to Friday. And next week we'll do the 13th chapter, nature, enjoy, and consciousness. That's also a very important chapter. We'll end the session here. The host can end the session.